The knocking started at exactly 5:01 a.m. Not soft. Not normal. It was sharp, urgent, like whoever was outside didn't have time to wait. I froze in bed, staring at the door, my heart already racing before I even moved. People don't show up at that hour, unless something is very wrong. And what happened after I opened that door? Changed everything. But before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second. Tell me in the comments. Where are you watching this from, and what time is it right now? I read your comments, and I reply to you too. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because trust me, this story only gets darker from here. Now, back to that morning. I finally got up, walked to the door, and opened it. And the moment I saw who was standing there, I knew something was seriously wrong. My neighbor, Daniel Reyes, looked like he had just seen something he wasn't supposed to. "Don't go to work today," he said. I stood there, gripping the edge of the door, trying to process what he had just said. Don't go to work today. The words didn't make sense. Not at 5 in the morning. Not from someone like Daniel, who barely spoke more than a polite good morning on most days. But it wasn't just the words, it was the way he said them. Urgent. Almost desperate. "Daniel, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice lower now, cautious. He stepped closer, lowering his tone like someone might be listening. His eyes flicked over my shoulder, scanning inside my house as if checking whether I was alone. "Just trust me," he said. "Call in sick. Turn off your phone. Stay inside." A strange chill ran through me. Why would I do that? For a moment, he hesitated. His lips parted slightly, like he was about to explain everything. But then something changed. His expression tightened, and he glanced back toward the street again. "I've already said too much," he muttered. My confusion quickly turned into frustration. "You show up at my door at 5 a.m., tell me not to leave my house, and now you won't even tell me why?" He shook his head, almost impatient now. "Because if I explain it now, you'll either think I'm crazy or you'll panic. And neither helps." "That's not fair," I said. "At least give me something." There was a long pause. Then he leaned in slightly, his voice barely above a whisper. "By noon, something is going to happen." My heartbeat picked up again. What kind of something? But he didn't answer that directly. Instead, he said, "Just promise me you won't step outside before then." I searched his face, looking for any sign that this was some kind of joke, some kind of misunderstanding. There was nothing. Only fear. Real, unmistakable fear. I hesitated. "I have work, Daniel. I can't just." "You can," he cut in sharply. "And you should." Another silence stretched between us. Then, softer this time, he added, "Look, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious." Something about that line hit differently. Daniel wasn't the type to exaggerate. He kept to himself. Never interfered. Never created drama. Which meant, whatever this was, it had to be big. Still, my mind kept fighting it. This was insane. Staying home because of a vague warning? No explanation, no proof, just fear and a deadline. "I'll think about it," I finally said. He stared at me for a second longer, like he was trying to decide if that was enough. It wasn't. But it was all I was willing to give. "Just, don't ignore this," he said quietly. Then he stepped back, his shoulders tense, his eyes scanning the street one last time. And without another word, he turned and walked away. Fast. Too fast for someone who had just woken up. I watched him disappear down the sidewalk, my mind spinning, trying to make sense of everything. Then I slowly closed the door, locking it without even realizing. The house fell silent again. But it didn't feel normal anymore. It felt watched. And as I stood there, staring at the door, one question kept repeating in my mind. Was he trying to protect me, or warn me too late? I stood inside my house long after Daniel had left, the silence feeling heavier than usual. His words kept repeating in my head like a broken loop. "Don't go to work today. By noon you'll understand." It sounded ridiculous when I said it out loud to myself. Like something out of a paranoid dream. And yet, my body wasn't letting it go that easily. There was a strange pressure in my chest, like my instincts were arguing with my logic. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and tried to calm down. "It's nothing," I whispered. "He's probably just stressed or imagining things." But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Because things had already been strange lately. A car I didn't recognize had been parked near my street for 2 nights in a row. Always the same position. Always gone before sunrise. I had tried to ignore it, convince myself it was just coincidence. Then there were the messages. Blank emails sent to my work account. No subject line. No content. Just arriving and disappearing before I could trace them properly. And last week, my office access card had stopped working for exactly 10 minutes, then started working again like nothing happened. At the time, I told myself it was technical issues. Now it felt like pieces of something bigger, something I wasn't supposed to notice. I looked at the clock. 5:38 a.m. Too early for decisions. Too early for panic. Too early for anything that made sense. I sat down on the edge of my bed, trying to think logically. Daniel didn't give me proof. No explanation. Just fear. And fear alone wasn't enough reason to change my entire day. But then another thought cut through everything. Why would he risk coming to my door like that? Daniel wasn't emotional. He wasn't impulsive. He was controlled, careful, almost invisible in how he lived. So if he was afraid enough to warn me like that, then something had to be real. My phone buzzed suddenly, making me flinch. I stared at it. No caller ID. My finger hovered over the screen, but I didn't answer. It stopped ringing after 3 seconds. Silence returned again. But now it felt different. Not peaceful. Waiting. And for the first time that morning, I realized something I didn't want to admit. Whatever was coming at noon already knew I was awake. I decided not to go back to sleep after that. There was no point. My mind wouldn't let me. Instead, I stayed inside my house, moving from room to room like I was waiting for something invisible to reveal itself. Every small sound suddenly felt amplified. The ticking of the wall clock, the faint hum of the refrigerator, even the wind brushing against the window. Time started to feel slower, heavier, like it was stretching on purpose. By 7 a.m., I checked my phone again. No new messages. No calls. Nothing from work either. Normally, by now, my manager would have already sent updates or checked in about the day. Today, complete silence. That silence made me more uneasy than anything else. I made a cup of tea I didn't drink. I just held it, staring at the steam rising, trying to convince myself this was all just paranoia. A strange neighbor. A stressful dream. A coincidence I was overthinking. But my body wasn't convinced. Every time I walked past a window, I felt the urge to look outside. And every time I did, I expected to see someone watching. At one point, I thought I saw movement near the street. A shadow near a parked car. I froze instantly. But when I looked again, it was gone. Still, my heartbeat didn't slow down. By 9:15 a.m., I started questioning my decision. Maybe I should go to work. Maybe ignoring this was the wrong move. Maybe Daniel had misunderstood something completely. That thought almost pushed me to grab my keys. Almost. Then my phone rang again. Unknown number. This time, it didn't stop quickly. It kept ringing. And I just sat there, staring at it, not moving. Because deep down I knew. Answering that call would change everything. I finally answered the phone. For a second, all I could hear was static. Low, distant noise, like someone was trying to connect from somewhere far away. Then a voice came through. Calm. Professional. Too calm. Is this Miss Clark? My throat tightened. Yes, who is this? This is Officer Raymond Hayes, County Emergency Response Unit. The moment he said emergency, my stomach dropped. What's going on? I asked quickly. There was a pause on the line. Not the kind of pause someone takes while checking notes, but the kind someone takes when they're choosing how to say something carefully. Then he spoke. Are you currently at your workplace today? My grip tightened on the phone. No. I'm at home. Why? Another pause. Then. There has been a major incident at your office building this morning. For a second, I couldn't process the words. An incident? What kind of incident? The officer exhaled slowly. An explosion occurred inside the central floor of the building. Emergency services are still responding. Several employees are unaccounted for. My knees weakened slightly. That's impossible. I wasn't there today. Silence. Then his tone shifted, slightly more serious. Miss Clark, according to our initial reports, your access card was used to enter the building at 8:04 a.m. My mind went blank. No, I said immediately. That can't be right. I'm at home. I never left. Another pause. Then the question came, quiet, sharp, and far more dangerous than anything before it. Can anyone confirm that you were home at that time? I looked around my empty house. No witnesses. No cameras inside. No one who could back me up. No, I whispered. And the moment I said that, I felt it. Like I had just stepped into something I couldn't undo. Because on the other end of the line, the officer suddenly went silent again. And this time, it didn't feel like a normal pause. It felt like he was reading something he wasn't supposed to tell me. The silence on the phone didn't break. It just stretched. I could still hear the officer breathing on the other end, slow and controlled, like he was reading something in front of him that he didn't fully understand either. Then he spoke again, but his tone had changed. Less professional. More cautious. Miss Clark, there's something else you need to know. My fingers tightened around the phone. What is it? Another pause. Then, security footage shows you entering the building at 8:04 a.m. My heart stopped for a second. I told you, I said quickly, that wasn't me. I understand, he replied calmly. But the footage is clear. Same clothing. Same identification. Same biometric access. My mouth went dry. That's impossible. Then came the words that made everything in my body go cold. And there's something else. I waited. Not breathing. Your car was also seen entering the parking structure at the same time. I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. No. I'm at home. I never left. Someone is using my identity. The officer didn't respond immediately. When he finally did, his voice was lower. Ma'am, we found items inside the building linked directly to you. My stomach dropped. What kind of items? Another pause. Then, personal effects, work badge, and something we cannot disclose over the phone. My legs felt weak. I sat down without realizing it. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a mistake. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't coincidence. Someone hadn't just used my name. They had built a version of me and walked her into that building. But then the officer said something that made everything worse. We need you to stay where you are. Officers are already en route to your location. My breathing stopped. Why would police come to my house? I asked quickly. A longer pause. Then, because, Miss Clark, right now, you are officially listed as a person of interest. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't being protected. I was being tracked. The moment the call ended, my house felt different. Not quieter. Heavier. Like the walls had started listening. I sat there on the couch, still holding the phone, replaying every word the officer said in my head. Security footage, my car, person of interest. None of it made sense. But all of it felt dangerously real. I slowly stood up and walked to the window. The street outside looked normal. Too normal. A neighbor watering plants. A dog barking in the distance. A delivery van turning the corner. But I couldn't shake the feeling that none of it mattered anymore. Then I heard it. A sound at the front door. A knock. My body froze instantly. Not loud this time. Controlled. Measured. Like whoever was outside didn't need to rush. I didn't move. Another knock followed. Then a voice. Miss Clark, this is Officer Reynolds. We need to speak with you. My chest tightened. I backed away from the door slowly, my footsteps barely making sound on the floor. My mind raced. Police already here? That fast? Something felt wrong. Too fast. Too coordinated. I didn't answer. Silence followed for a few seconds. Then the voice came again, closer now, like he had stepped right up to the door. Ma'am, we know you're inside. Please open the door. My hands started shaking. Because in that moment, I remembered Daniel's words from earlier. Don't go to work today. But he never said anything about this. And now police were outside my house, looking for me. Or something pretending to be me. I took one slow step back into the hallway, heart pounding so hard it hurt. And then, the door handle moved slightly. The moment the door handle moved, my entire body locked up. Slowly, carefully, I stepped backward into the hallway, trying not to make a sound. My breathing felt too loud, like it could be heard through the walls. "Ma'am," the voice outside said again, calmer now, closer than before. "We can see movement inside. Please cooperate." Movement? I hadn't even opened the door. I looked toward the peephole but didn't dare get close. Then something happened that made my stomach drop. A second voice came from outside. "Not the same officer. This is unit control. We're authorized for entry." My heart slammed in my chest. Entry? Before I could process it. Bang. The door shook violently. Not a knock this time. A strike. I stumbled back instantly. Another impact hit the door, harder. The frame creaked. They weren't waiting anymore. They were coming in. My mind raced. Call someone? Run? Hide? But there was nowhere in the house that felt safe anymore. Then silence. A sudden, unnatural silence. I froze. And that's when I heard it. A voice, not from the door. From behind me. Near the kitchen. "Don't move." My blood turned cold. I spun around instantly. And saw him. Daniel. Standing inside my house. How he got in? I didn't see. I didn't hear. But he was there. His face was tighter now. No fear. No hesitation. Just urgency. "They're not police," he said quietly. "They're extraction." My voice shook. "What are you talking about?" "They said I'm a person of interest." "No," he interrupted. "You're not a suspect." A pause. "You're a target." My breath caught. Daniel stepped closer, lowering his voice even more. "What happened at your workplace wasn't an explosion." My mind went blank. "It was a cleanup operation," he said. "And you were supposed to be inside it." I stared at him, barely able to speak. "Why me?" For the first time, his expression softened slightly. "Because your identity was never yours to begin with." I took a step back as Daniel's words sank in. My identity was never mine? My voice came out shaky, almost broken. What does that even mean? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he moved toward the window, carefully peeking through the blinds. Outside, the knocking had stopped, but the silence didn't feel like relief. It felt like preparation. "They're surrounding the house," he said quietly. My chest tightened. "Who are they?" Daniel turned back to me. His face was serious in a way I had never seen before, no emotion wasted, no unnecessary words. "Not police," he said again. "Not any official unit you know." I felt my legs weaken slightly. "Then who?" He exhaled slowly, like he had been holding this truth for a long time. "A private recovery division," he said. "They don't arrest people. They retrieve assets." Assets. The word made my skin crawl. "I'm not an asset," I said quickly. "I'm just—" "You were selected before you were even born," he interrupted. The room went quiet. I stared at him, trying to find any sign that this was some kind of twisted joke. But there was nothing. Only certainty. Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out a thin envelope. "Your brother knew something was wrong before he disappeared," he said. My heart stopped. "My brother is missing because of this?" Daniel nodded once. "He wasn't missing," he said. "He was removed." My hands started shaking uncontrollably. Daniel handed me the envelope slowly. "He left this for you," he said. "And if I'm here today, it's because your father asked me to make sure you survive long enough to see the truth." I stared at the envelope, afraid to open it. Because something inside me already knew. Whatever was in there would change everything I believed about my life. My fingers trembled as I took the envelope from Daniel. It felt heavier than it should have. Like it wasn't just paper, but something that had been waiting for me for a long time. Outside, the house shook slightly as something hit the front door again. A deep, controlled impact, like they were testing how long it would take to break in. Daniel didn't even look at it. "Don't open it yet," he said quickly. "Not until you understand what's happening." My voice cracked. "Then explain it to me properly." "Right now." He hesitated, then nodded. "They built your life around a false identity," he said. "Not fake in the way you think. Constructed. Designed. I shook my head. That doesn't make sense. I grew up here. I have a childhood. I have memories. Memories can be placed, he replied calmly. So can records. So can people around you. A cold wave ran through me. I looked down at the envelope again. What about my brother? I asked suddenly. You said he was removed. Daniel's jaw tightened slightly. He started asking questions, he said. About your birth records. About inconsistencies in your medical history. About why certain files kept disappearing. My breathing became uneven. And then, I whispered. He found proof, Daniel said. Silence. And the moment he did, he became a risk. My grip on the envelope tightened so hard it crinkled. You're saying my entire life is a lie? I asked. Daniel stepped closer. I'm saying your life was built for a reason. A loud crash hit the front door again. This time, the frame shook violently. Daniel didn't even flinch. They won't wait much longer, he said. He looked at the envelope in my hand. Open it when you're ready to understand why they're here for you. I stared at it, my heart hammering so loud I could barely think. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if the truth inside was going to save me, or destroy everything I had left. Another hit the front door. Harder this time. The wood cracked. Dust fell from the frame. They're breaching, Daniel said calmly, like he had already accepted this moment was coming. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the envelope anymore. Open it, he said again, quieter this time. Now. I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a small, encrypt drive taped to it. My eyes immediately went to the letter. The handwriting was familiar in a way that made my chest tighten. My brother's handwriting. My breath stopped. I started reading. If you are seeing this, then they've moved faster than I expected. Don't trust what you think you know about your identity. Everything around you has been constructed to keep you contained. My knees weakened slightly. Daniel stood near the hallway, listening to every sound outside. The door shook again. But I couldn't look away from the letter. It continued. You were never randomly placed in this life. You were assigned to it. Your records, your history, even the people close to you, are part of a system designed to monitor you. My mind felt like it was breaking apart. Assigned? System? I looked at Daniel. What is this? He didn't answer immediately. Then quietly. Your brother hacked into a classified program, he said. That's what got him taken. Another loud impact hit the door. The lock was failing. Daniel stepped closer. The drive contains everything, he said. Names. Projects. The original files of your identity. I stared at it. And if I give it to them? I asked. Daniel shook his head. Then you disappear. A long silence followed. Only the sound of the door breaking slowly in the background. My hands trembled as I held the drive tighter. I looked at Daniel. Then at the door. Then at the letter in my hands. Everything in my life had led to this exact moment. And I realized something terrifying. There was no safe choice. Only a truth that would either set me free or erase me completely. I stepped back and said quietly, What do we do now? Daniel looked at me for the first time with something like certainty. Now, he said. We run. The alarms outside grew louder, closer, unstoppable. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't just running from them. I was running toward the truth. And whatever happened next was no longer something I could avoid. It was something I had to face.